what drew you to making a clothing line based, or like I'm assuming it's to donate or help with charities or other organizations with
Yeah.
mental health.
Yeah, so I started this actually. I was like, I want to start a clothing brand, was how it started. And I struggled with, this was about a year ago. I struggled with like trying to figure out what my niche was for it. And I was like, I don't know what I really want to brand it around. At first, it was like for influencers, and then just certain things that have happened in my life. And like we are talking about the war in El Salvador, how my parents have gone through it, and yes, they struggle with some mental health issues. So it's something that I hold dear to my heart. So it's like I want to be able to provide um, a brand that represents those. And then especially right now with Simone Biles, with
Yeah.
that
Right.
whole Olympic where she pulled out because she was taking care of her mental health.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a topic that a lot of people have different opinions on. So I just want to be that brand that helps represent those individuals that struggle with mental health issues, that feel like they have no one to speak to, and just want to build more awareness around that.
So welcome back to the show. Today we have a very special guest. He's actually the newest member of our team. He's going to be our social media manager. He's an awesome guy, hailing from Washington. Please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Rycki Cruz.
Sweet. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you, man. By the way, I really appreciate you coming on board with us and helping us out with the social media. We had a little conversation a couple of days ago, and I think you're going to be an awesome addition to the team. And you also have been following our journey. I don't know which episode was the first one you watched, but actually, which episode was the first one that you caught on to?
It was the first. I think it was the first one, the one where you start explaining about how you got a position internship with the Raiders.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then since then, you just kind of started watching
So
a few of them.
just kept following along, following the journey.
Well, I appreciate that a lot, man. We really appreciate you, and everything happens for a reason, right?
For
And
sure,
here we
for
are,
sure.
49 episodes later. This will be number 49, and you're actually part of the team now. So,
Perfect.
yeah, welcome.
Glad to be a part of the team.
Hey, we're glad to have you, man.
Definitely.
And by the way, if you're new to the channel, welcome. We welcome you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Smash the like button and tap that little notification bell. It really helps us out. So anyways, Rycki, as you know, we always like to get to know our guests. I feel that if the guests, if the listeners know your story, where you come from, how you got to where you're at now, they can connect to you a lot better. So did you grow up, born and raised in Washington?
Yes, I did. So I was born and raised on the east side of Washington in a small town called Tenasket. Not many people have heard of it. Population's probably like 5,000
Wow.
the most, if anything. But yeah, I grew up there. I've had 4 sisters and a brother, and my parents own a food truck business over there in Okanagan County called Pablo's Tacos. Shout out to Pablo's Tacos.
Nice.
But yeah, so I grew up there, went to high school, and then graduated from there class of 2018, and decided that I wanted to come to the West Side, specifically Seattle Pacific University, just because financial reasons. It was the most reasonable one that I found. So made it myself over here to Seattle, and was able to. I'm starting to get my degree in business marketing. So that's what I'm doing currently. And then on top of that, doing other internships as well. Specifically, sports is the route I want to go get into. That's how I started following you guys in your journey, was because Isaac, you're the first video, I'm pretty sure you're talking about internships and how you got one with the Oakland Raiders. Literally, I searched how to get my foot in the door in the NFL, because that's where I want to end up. And your video popped up, and like you say, everything happens for a reason. And now I am here after sending you guys a DM through Instagram, telling you guys that I would love to be a part of the team. And now we are here.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty crazy. Because from my story back then, Instagram did not exist. I don't even think Facebook existed. DMs didn't exist.
Yeah.
It was snail mail and email, right? So
Yeah.
it's really crazy to think how much easier it is for people to get into contact with, you know, organizations or companies through like a DM or, you know, social media. So it definitely, it's changed a lot. But in the end, I guess the principle is the same. Someone taking initiative and taking action to reach out, right? And let them know, hey, I'm interested. You know, I really like what you guys are doing. If there's any opportunity for me, you know, let me know. And that's how it happened. So I mentioned here, you're from, what was the name of the Tenasket?
Yeah, Tenasket. Yeah.
So, you know, I've been to Wenatchee. Is that near Tenasket?
Yeah, so that's like, I want to say 2 hours south of Tenasket.
Okay. Is that town like one of those really high Native American population towns? Wenasket?
Tenasket?
Yeah, Tenasket.
The one right next to it is pretty high population of natives. It's called Omak and Okanagan. But other than that, like Tenasket's predominantly white people.
Okay.
And a lot of Mexicans as well, Latinos.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, also you mentioned a taco truck, right? You said Pablo's Tacos. Yeah. So your family still owns that truck.
They do. Actually, my parents immigrated back to the U.S. back in the 80s. And obviously immigrating from El Salvador, they were working in like slow jobs like janitors and factories, just trying to make ends meet. And then time passed and they eventually made it to Washington. They wanted to open their food truck business. They started it off in California, but and then decided it made more sense to move up to Washington.
Okay.
And then they did that, and now it's still up and running. Like I think 30 plus years now.
Wow, that's a long time.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I take it you worked in the truck when you were young.
For sure.
Do you have any interesting stories growing up working in the truck?
I mean, it's just a lot of customer service.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that job, like working as a cashier pretty much and helping cook, it was a big part of my life. I feel like it has molded me into who I am, to be professional when reaching out to people like with you guys or just in work in general. Just because obviously you will have those customers where you're just like, what the heck?
Yeah.
It's just like kind of just anybody that's worked in customer service has a story to tell.
Definitely.
So,
yeah, you met some Karens and some Kevins every now and then.
Yep.
Them Karens always get you.
Yeah. But that's cool. So actually, you mentioned working. So a couple things. First of all, entrepreneurship, right? What I do love about immigrants, because my father immigrated from Mexico as well, and what I do love about immigrants, I think your dog loves that too, right? Is that they always have that entrepreneurial mindset, because if you come from a different country, especially a small town like where my father came from, there is no jobs, there is no Apple, there is no Microsoft, there is no, Coca-Cola. It's pretty much you either have your own store or your own trade or your own business, or you're working in the fields or in the mountains where it's not fun work, right? Yeah. So that's first and foremost. Do you feel like that's kind of instilled like an entrepreneurial spirit in you somehow?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like you get to see the struggles of owning your own business. You get to see what it takes to maintain your reputation with the business. My father, he started taking me with him, like selling food to, like you said, like immigrant workers in the orchards. We were selling food. I was like going with him 7 a.m. my weekends when I was 8. Wow. Like that's how early I started going with him. Obviously back then I hated it. No kid wants to wake up at 7 a.m. on their weekends.
Exactly.
But it was, now that I'm older, I'm super grateful for it, just because, like you said, it has instilled that entrepreneurial mindset and like personality, and seeing the struggles they've gone through and the amount of work they put in. To me now, like pretty much anything is possible. It's just a matter of you want it. If you want to like put in that work, it'll eventually come to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the other thing you mentioned is people skills, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
obviously, it reminds me a little bit of my father. His mother owned a grocery store in Mexico, and he was put at the cashier. Somehow, it's always the kids that are. It's weird. They're handling the money, right?
Right?
It's funny.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know how that is. Here, kids, you handle the money, right? But it puts you into contact with many different personalities, many different people, and like you said, it's customer service, right? Like no matter
Yeah.
what, the customer has to be right. So did it kind of teach you like how to deal with different types of personalities?
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, when you're in customer service, you'll have people that are just like pain in the ass, and then excuse my language, or if you have like somebody that's super nice and gentle, and it's just like you have to adapt to those personalities quickly because like you never know the person how their day is going. You never know like what they're going through as well. So not taking anything too personally because like sometimes people come up to you and just start going off on you, even though you're not the problem, but you're just the person that just got the
You're in
the
the
bad
way.
end of the stick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that just being able to adapt to different personalities and be able to mold the conversation in a way that benefits that conversation just because we're all different, we're all unique. So being able to have the conversation that uh, not many people have, just like being able to try to understand their lives and have that personal connection through customer service.
Wow. That's a lot to learn at a young age.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think
Yeah.
about think about it like that. But the way my mind works, if someone was mean to me, I would 100% take it personally. I'd be like, "Oh, I ruined their day," you know. But that's really
For sure.
interesting. You know, you gotta take it with a grain of salt, right? Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
See, there you go.
It's been good. It's been a learning process. Obviously, like you, Jessica, like there's been times where I'm just like, well, what? Like, why is this going on?
Right? Like, what
And,
did I
like,
do? I'm sorry.
yeah, exactly. And you just like want to go off on them, but it's just like you got to bite your tongue. And then I come home and to my girlfriend, I rant. I'm like, this is what happened to me today. But yeah,
So your family's from, so you're El Salvadorian.
yeah,
Yeah. And so I know El Salvador has a long history of war and gang violence and all that kind of stuff. But actually now you guys have this pretty cool president who just accepted Bitcoin as like a
yeah.
national thing. So did your parents flee like the war and all that kind of stuff going on like in the 80s? Yeah.
Yeah. They fled. They didn't know each other. They met. My parents met when they were in LA, but they both are from El Salvador. My mom's side of the family, they immigrated to LA, and so did my dad. But they have good stories. But obviously, like the war and all that, it's going to be tough on individuals, especially when you're in your youth or teenage years. You're going through all of that. It's just tough.
100%. Have you been to El Salvador?
I have not, but hopefully in the near future, I am able to visit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And now is probably the better time too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I heard this. I don't know if you know, but I heard the president is of Arab or Middle Eastern descent, but he was born and raised in El Salvador. Is that true?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I haven't done my research on that.
Yeah.
But I did see the whole Bitcoin thing. I have invested a little in Doge.
Okay.
So hopefully they'll accept
The dog.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doge. Nice. And you said that you want to go more in the sports direction. So what kind of brought you to, like, what do you love about sports? Like, what brought you to that direction?
I mean,
Question.
I used to play sports throughout my whole life. Starting at age 5, I was put into Little League soccer.
Okay.
And then Little League wrestling. And then as well as Little League football. So just throughout my life, I was that consistency, I feel like, and that leadership, just having like the thought that I could control something and it could lead to a really great outcome if I were to put in that work. So just throughout my youth and as I got older into high school and became more competitive and competing more competitively, it was just a part of my life that I felt like I was called for. And I felt like that it would be a fun job to have in the future. And I think a lot of people say it, that if you find something that you love, you're not going to be working a day in your life. So to me, that is such a big thing to live by.
Definitely.
So you played soccer, wrestling, football.
Yeah.
By the way, those are, like you said, wrestling, I think, is one of the best things, anybody can do, especially like a young man, because it kind of gives you like self-defense techniques. It kind of gives you that competition. And then soccer, obviously, is a big thing with Latin America. Which sport was the best? Like, which one were you the best at, or which one was your favorite? And which one did you go farthest in, or was it all three?
I think the one that I love the best would be football. I started off at a young age as quarterback.
Oh, okay.
And from there, I just kept growing into it. And high school started for my varsity team, even though it was a small school. I was able to start, and then I was going to go to college, and then you have the cliche story that get hurt, get injured, and it just didn't go. And I was just like, I knew my potential, and I was like, I'm not to the standard of making it to the NFL, and I want to be able to walk when I'm older.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's save my knees, and let's just go focus on academics and work.
Okay.
So
yeah,
that's what I did.
No, I said that makes sense. I played baseball growing up because I grew up in the 90s, obviously. But I tried football. I hurt my back. I was never any good anyways. So like my Rudy attempt ended before it even started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I figured, like you, I said, hey, what's the next best thing is to work in sports, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the whole Raiders internship came from. Like, and by the way, I really love sharing that story because, I mean, it's so rare to go from the street straight into the NFL, and not just that, into football operations, So I want to share that with everybody, like, young gentlemen like yourself, or even ladies too. It's like, I just want to show them that, I mean, even though it's maybe not that probable, it's very possible, Like you said, if you put in the work, if you believe, if you get in contact with the right people, you never know who your story can fall, whose ears they could fall on. And
for sure.
So yeah, I mean, I'm glad that, I mean, like I said, that clip is still the #1 clip on the whole channel to date, right? Thousands of views. I'm just trying to share some story, some achievement. One of these things called an impossibility goal that I was able to do at a young age of 18 with other young, old, doesn't matter how old you are actually. Because I remember when I was an intern, there was a 40-year-old guy there. So it was weird because most interns are young, by the way. And that's a tip.
Yeah.
When sports teams look for interns, they look usually for young people.
Yeah, like fresh out of college or around that age. I actually had an internship at NBC Sports Bay Area. So it's funny that we've all worked in sports at some point.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? Everything happens for a reason, right? And so, but then sometimes they'll have an older gentleman or lady there, and but for them it's kind of like their last hurrah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, that's cool. So football was your favorite. So you're now looking to work in football.
Yeah. Right now, my end goal is NFL marketing.
Okay.
That's just been what I've been wanting to do ever since I figured out that I wanted to get into marketing. So it's just it's going to take time, just building those connections and building that network, putting yourself out there. It's been a big thing for me, just because I feel like if you're in a room, no one's going to find you. You got to put yourself out there. You got to figure out
100%
how you can make a presence on like the internet and social media, because people nowadays are searching names, and that's how they find you.
Yeah, especially in like a field like that, when it comes to like high market stuff like that, it's a lot of it's kind of like who you know, like in the industry, and then like they'll kind of help the like, oh, I remember that guy. He seems like he might be good for that role because for like even like it's like kind of like film and that kind of industry. It's like it's who you know. Like it's all. I mean, obviously it has to do with your talent, but a lot of it's kind of like who do you know in that industry that can help give you that one little help up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's very true. Because like I said, to go from Cold Street to where I went is super difficult. But in the end, it was still who I knew, because somehow my letter got on the desk of the general manager. So at the time, the GM was Bruce Allen. He's the president of the Washington Redskins now, I believe. But at the time, he was the general manager of the Oakland Raiders. And I wrote a letter and I sent it to Al Davis, to Bruce Allen, to John Gruden. Like literally, that's how crazy I was. Yeah. But I was like, I don't even care. Like, and this is a tip for anybody out there. Who cares? Right. If they don't respond, that's the worst that can happen. But what if it ends up on the desk of the GM? You know what I mean? And fate and destiny intervenes. And I still remember the day I got an email from Bruce Allen. And I'm sitting there on AOL, right? And I was expecting like a sticker, like thank you for being from the secretary, right. Like thanks for being a fan, right? And I get this email and it says Bruce Allen, and it's like thank you for your love and passion in the Oakland Raiders. Our our personnel staff is reviewing some of your suggestions. I was like, what? I was like, I'm 18 years old. I get my information from ESPN.com. Right. And I was like, and it's like, we feel that 11 draft picks, I still remember it like verbatim, and free agency will help us get better. But you know what hit me instantly? I was like, I have Bruce Allen's email.
There you go.
I was like, like literally, I would come home every single day. I would spend hours trying to make the most intelligent sounding email I could from my resources, which was newspaper at the time and ESPN.com. And I would write him sometimes 6-7 emails a day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like, I don't think he knew that what was going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he expected this crazy kid to be just not harassing, but like just being super persistent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And successful people, they know certain qualities someone needs to have for them to give them their time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that persistency, he was either shocked or impressed or both. But like, and you heard the story, but I'll just say it again. From those emails, and he was like corresponding with me. It wasn't like a paragraph, but it'd be like, yes, no, we got somebody today. Like, he was communicating with me, right? And after about, I'd say 2 months of me harassing him, Bruce, if you hear this, how's it going? Hey, I still want to get back in the NFL. Now I have the time. So if you want to give me a little gig, I'll take an unpaid internship with the Redskins and I'll bring all my friends with me. Anyways, just kidding. Not really. But he called my house. And I remember I was bringing in the groceries from Costco with my parents. And then my sister answers the phone, and I'm 18. So he was 40. He was my age at the time. He was 41.
Wow.
Actually, he was younger than me. And my sister's like, there's some old dude on the phone for you. You know how young kids are. 40's old. Yeah, right. And I'm like, hello? He's like, Isaac? I'm like, yes. He's like, Isaac Estrada? I'm like, yes. He's like, this is Bruce Allen. I'm like, hi. You know what I mean? And anyways, he's like, you know what? I want to know what you're all about. He's like, can you come down to training camp and interview with me? And I was like, well, hold on. Let me check my calendar. Taking it out of the cellophane. Just kidding, right? No, but anyways, that's how it happened. Like, that is a true story. You know what I mean? But it was because of persistency, belief, like hard work, like passion, like drive. So I want to share this with everybody just to know, like, hey, okay, it might not be that probable, but everything is possible, right?
Yeah.
But in the end, it is, like Jessica said, it is really, in that industry, it's really who you know. Because when I got in there, everybody had an uncle, a cousin, a brother, a friend who worked there already. But here's the funny thing. My guy was the GM.
Yep.
So he's technically the guy that got me in. And that's like the second highest guy next to the owner, right? So even though I was like this guy who didn't know anybody, and it was kind of a weird experience, right? Because everybody else knew somebody there. They all kind of like, they were really like, they didn't really have fear of losing their opportunity. It was there for them if they wanted it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted it so bad, and I was scared to lose it. You know what I mean? Because I knew how much work I put in to get it. And it literally took me about a year of just harassing them to get it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I just want to share that with people, and just let them know that, hey, follow your dreams, man. Like, and it might take some time. It might take some work. It might seem like it's not going to happen. And it seemed like it wasn't going to happen all the way to the end. Like, even when I got the final call. So I got the final call. I would say I got the final call. I started messaging Bruce in January. I think I got the final call in July or August from Mark Ortega, who at the time was the administrative assistant to head coach John Gruden. And I remember he called me, and I had been emailing him for 3 months with no response, like zero response. Imagine that. Like, how persistent could somebody be, not hearing anything, but still, just keep going, right? Calling, emailing. And I get the phone call, and it's always like this, by the way. I don't know if it was with the Raiders. So any of you guys getting in sports, this is how the call goes. Isaac? Yes. Isaac Estrada? Yes. This is Mark Ortega. Hi. You know what I mean? He said, you know what? I just want to apologize for not getting back to you sooner. I literally shuffled through hundreds and thousands of applications.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, man, I didn't get it. He's gonna let me down softly, right? He's like, I got people with master's degrees. He's like, I got former NFL players. He's like, it's a tough decision because we only have 7 spots to fill. So I was like, all right, well, it was a good try, right? He's like, but you know what? He's like, you've been the most persistent applicant I've ever had, and I've been here for 12 years. He's like, and I can hear the passion in your voice. He's like, so I'm going to give you a shot. He said, show up to camp July 17th. So July 17th, 1999, probably about a year or a little less than a year after I sent that 3-page letter ripping the team, I got my first internship with the Oakland Raiders at like 18 years old. So, nice. Or 19 years old. So anyways, I share that with you. I know you heard it again. I want to share with everybody else who hasn't seen the first clip, just because it just makes me happy to see young people like yourself and like Jessica who are pursuing it. And if I could just share that experience and give you maybe some hope, maybe some excitement, maybe a little bit of input and help you get there, then that's an awesome thing. Yeah, definitely. What part? So you want to do NFL marketing. What's like your dream? Like, what would you be doing within that kind of position? Yeah, obviously marketing, there's so many different departments. I actually have been doing an internship that's focused around branding and sponsoring. They're based out of Canada, XOXO Sports. And a funny story, I got this internship with that company as well through a DM on Instagram. Nice. I messaged her and was like, hey, like, I see your company, like, I want to see if you want to see my resume, and I want to give you a hand, like, be like an intern. I just want to get some experience. And luckily she messaged me back, and now I'm doing the internship with her. But the branding and sponsoring side of things and helping athletes getting sponsors has caught my interest because it helps them build their brand. And that to me is super awesome because building one's brand is like, everybody has a brand, no matter who you are. It's just a matter of endorsing it and like showing people what you are about, what you do, what you love. And like Isaac said, who cares what people think? Like at the bottom line, like you can't make everybody happy. So just be happy with who you are and just show it off to the people. And there's going to be a percentage of people that are really happy who you are and love who you are. So they're going to show your support. But you can't make everybody happy at all. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And I honestly think the career path you want to take, which is marketing, is a lot easier than the football operations side to get into. Yeah. So Anybody who wants to get on the business side of things, that is more like resume, experience, and how well you do the job.
Mm-hmm.
On the football side of things, that is the good old boy network still
Yep.
to this day.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. That's just how it is. And people, once they get those jobs, they never leave.
And don't let go.
Yeah, I think they either pass away or retire when
Yep.
they're done, you know? Because there's a couple guys that got hired the same year because the group, it was the 7 interns that I was with, I believe 3 or 4 of them got hired full time, and they're still in the NFL to this day. And that was 1999. So
The year I was born.
yeah, so the year you were born. Jesus Christ, right? Woo. Yeah, so the year you were born, they've been working there ever since, right?
Dang,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
so yeah, those are amazing jobs, and I wish you the best, and hopefully this podcast will help you get some exposure out there and get noticed. So
Yeah.
and
So I feel like branding and sponsorship is like very important for athletes too, because some athletes, it's like if you get hurt and then like you're done, right? So it's important for them to find other ways to make money or just, keep that income coming in. So that's a very interesting route to take.
Yes, for sure.
yeah, and like you mentioned, everybody does have their brand. Like
Yeah.
regardless if you're famous or not, when you walk out that door, however you look, however you dress, however you carry yourself, that's your brand. I mean, a lot of people go, oh, I don't like sales, I don't like marketing. I go, excuse me, like you're marketing yourself every single day,
You're
you
a
know?
walking billboard.
Yeah, like you're trying to find a significant other, trying to find a job, trying to find a career, trying to, just have people treat you a certain way. It's all,
Exactly.
it's your brand. It's your personal brand. And I remember when I was young, my father used to always tell me, hey, Isaac, it's just human nature, but people are going to judge you by how you look. They don't know who you are, so they're going to instantly judge you by how you look. And so he would always teach me I have to dress very nice and just carry myself a certain way, just so that I would give myself a little leg up, right?
Yeah.
But Jessica mentioned something too, sponsorships and stuff. Like, I mean, there's so many athletes that they become billionaires not because of their salaries or multi-deca millionaires, but because of sponsorships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Michael Jordan only made like less than $100 million in his entire career, maybe like $91 million from his salary. But through his brand, the Jordan brand, the sponsorships, he's a billionaire,
Yeah.
And now he owns a professional basketball team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, your career path, and if you become really good, and I know you probably will, at what you do, you could be more valuable to an athlete than even their sports career.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So any particular teams or athletes that you would, love to be working with?
See, I'm a big Patriots fan, and I get
okay.
a lot of trash about that because I'm here in Seattle.
Oh.
So, and my girlfriend's her family's a big Seahawks fan. So
Of course, yeah.
I obviously get shit talked quite a bit, but it's fun. It's fun to be a Patriots fan and just to see their work ethic. So eventually we'll see, maybe work within the marketing department and help brand sponsor with them as well. But to me, I'm pretty much open to any NFL team.
Yeah.
So that's where I want to get. I want to get that experience, and like you guys say, it's just gonna be a matter of being persistent.
Yeah,
and
grind
just
it out.
building a network.
I would recommend. So this is. I don't know how I've been so fortunate in sports, but so my internship with the Raiders ended in 2000. But then in 2009, I took a class on sports management worldwide. Have you heard of them? It's an online sports management.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I took a course to get a sports management certificate. And through the class, one of the teachers was John Wooten. John Wooten is a former NFL player, and he's the president of the Fritz Pollard Association, I believe. And again, because I like to talk and write papers, in the class, he was so impressed with my story with the Raiders. He said, you know what, I want to give you another opportunity. My friend is Tom Gamble. He's the assistant GM for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to set up an interview for you. So in 2009, I'm in the 49ers organization interviewing with Tom Gamble, and I got to watch practice. I think John Harbaugh was the head coach then, and Alex Smith was throwing routes to Michael Crabtree. But at the time, since I had been out of sports for so long, he said, "You know what? I really like you, man, but you don't have the experience." Anybody ever heard that before?
Yep.
Right? So he said, what I recommend you do is try to latch on with the college, a junior college, an indoor football team, anything that is professional or on the route, link on with them and then try to work your way up and get that experience. So what I did after that was, ironically, I'm on Facebook and my friend posts that there's a brand new indoor football team professional coming to the San Jose and they're looking for interns. And I sent them an email and bam, I got the football operations internship. And I was working for them for a couple of years until the team folded. That's the one bad thing about indoor sports, right?
Was it SaberCats?
No, it was called the San Jose Wolves, and that was when the SaberCats went out of business for 2 years. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. But anyway, so that's another tip for people out there, and for you, Rycki. There's a lot of indoor football teams that are pro, and they have a lot of people who have connections, maybe former NFL players or people that have friends in the NFL or coaches. So if you get in with those, help them, you can easily work your way up and then build your resume and then eventually get into the NFL, right? So that's another tip right there. So Patriots, let's talk about that.
Were you with your girlfriend for that Super Bowl, the infamous?
Oh, yeah, that actually no. So
okay, I was gonna say that would have been a fun Super Bowl
that
party.
That would have been a very bad night.
Yeah, for sure. No, me and my girl actually just met a couple years ago here at college. So I was very single when all that happened. So, but yeah, being a Patriots fan ever since I was little, watching them. I remember, I think the first Super Bowl I remember was them in 07 or 08. I think I want to say it's 07. That I think they went undefeated, if I remember right, and then they lost.
That was the 19 and dough. The
yeah,
19 and 1.
Yep. It was just, I remember the Giants beating them, and I was just like, I was crying because freaking Eli Manning threw that pass, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he caught it with like just craziness, and it was just a crazy catch overall.
Yeah, caught it on his helmet.
Yeah, that's so so dumb.
I forgot his name too. That's
Is
so
it Odell
crazy.
Beckham or no?
No, he wasn't even in the league.
Right?
It was something Bird or something.
I can't remember. But ever since then, just kept up with the Patriots, and I jumped on, I guess you could say, on the bandwagon at the perfect time, but never left because they were good for like many years, and then just these last couple of years, it's been a little tough. But obviously, if you're a fan, you got to stick with them even through the hard times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said that was 2007, and you were born.
I think it was. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
You were only like 8, so I wouldn't say that you were a bandwagon.
Yeah.
I would say that's your team, right? But I mean, being a Raiders fan, it was really hard to like Tom Brady and the Patriots for a long time because sports is the weirdest thing. But I don't know if you remember the snow job. When Charles Woodson, the tuck rule, which is, anyways. So it was a fumble, but because
oh God, here we go.
But anyways, that was the catalyst that set the Patriots onto their dynasty of the next 20 years, and that set the Raiders into a spiral of futility for. Probably till now, to this day. I mean, they had maybe like 2 good seasons under Jack Del Rio a couple of years ago when Carr was starting to become like a good quarterback. Then he snaps his leg and he hasn't been the same ever since, But I mean, I don't know if you believe in this, but a lot of sports fans believe in superstitions, and I believe in energy and like I feel like that moment in time, because if we would have beat the Patriots, we would have. I pretty much guarantee we would have won the Super Bowl that year, but it didn't happen. We lose. The Raiders just go on a spiral, and the Patriots obviously do what they did the last 20 years, And now I have mad respect for Tom Brady because That guy is the epitome of a winner, regardless of what you say. He's the GOAT, in my opinion. I mean, he's got more Super Bowl rings than every NFL franchise that ever existed in time, you know. So he's the GOAT, and obviously it proved something when he left the Patriots, and the Patriots kind of, you know, their first bad season in 20 years, and he goes and wins the Super Bowl with a brand new team, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, as a Patriots fan, you guys had one bad season in the last,
right,
20 plus years. So I don't think you should be too upset about that.
You're
Right?
good. You're good.
You don't even know what it's like to be like a Raiders fan.
I'm a Sharks fan, and they haven't won one championship in their entire lifetime of their team. So I'm on the struggle bus.
Yeah, and the Sharks is, I grew up in San Jose. The Sharks is even worse. Not worse, but it's because they always are so good in the regular season. Like they're always the best or one of the best teams during the regular season. But when it comes to the playoffs, I don't know what happens. It's
it's bad. It's bad. Injuries, and then they underperform, and it's just like heartbreak every year.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, right? So you're working right now. Tell us a little bit about what you got going on right now, as far as the marketing.
Right now, I am currently doing 2 internships, working with XOXO Sports, and then as well as working with a company called Ford Sports Performance on their marketing and business development team. For Ford Sports, it's a company that works with high school, college, and NFL athletes. That it's like a training facility, a training performance facility. So we work out with the best athletes here in Washington in high school and just train them until they start getting offers in college. I do know like a couple of kids just accidentally went to the University of Oregon the other day, and they do like those visits, help them get recruited. So it's been a great experience for me to see those steps that an NFL player goes through before they're in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right.
Other than that, working as event security with the Mariners as well. Just got that job, just applying and being persistent and actually building a connection through a friend that went to the same college I'm going to, and just sticking with it. It's been great to learn more about baseball because I wasn't very aware about baseball. I didn't know the ins and outs of it. And then on top of that, we were talking about the entrepreneurial mindset and personality. I have actually tried to I'm starting my clothing brand right here, Generation of Change, which is going to be focused on mental health, is what I'm trying to brand it around. So that's in the works. It's been in the works for a while, but I feel like now I've just had the time to put the content that is needed for that. And then just teaching myself a bunch of marketing, digital marketing stuff, and starting my own, trying to brand myself and learning YouTube and just anything social media wise.
Nice. What drew you to making a clothing line based, or I'm assuming it's to donate or help with charities or other organizations with mental health?
Yeah, so I started this actually, I was like, I want to start a clothing brand, was how it started. And I struggled with, this was about a year ago. I struggled with trying to figure out what my niche was for it. And I was like, I don't know what I really want to brand it around. At first it was for influencers, and then just certain things that have happened in my life. And we were talking about the war in El Salvador, how my parents have gone through it. And yes, they struggle with some mental health issues. So it's something that I hold dear to my heart. So it's I want to be able to provide a brand that represents those. And then especially right now with Simone Biles, with that whole Olympic where she pulled out because she was taking care of her mental health. Mm-hmm. It's been a topic that a lot of people have different opinions on. So I just want to be that brand that helps represent those individuals that struggle with mental health issues, that feel like they have no one to speak to, and just want to build more awareness around that topic.
Definitely. I feel like now the newer generations are kind of more accepting when it comes to mental health and trying to figure out what's wrong, what's going on. I know like my mom's generation, she's had a battled like depression her entire life, and back when she was young, they were like, you have nothing to be sad about. Like, what do you cry? Like, grow up, get over it. Like that kind of attitude. So I think the attitude has really shifted with our generations. I know like Simone Biles and even the tennis player Osaka, she was even getting, because she bowed out of one of the interviews, I think, because she was like over it. She's like, I want to take, like, I'm not going to be interviewed for my mental health. I don't want to deal with this right now. So then I know people are still like get over it. You're an athlete. Like, just compete. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see the different reactions to people saying like, hey, I want to take care of myself before I injure myself, kind of attitude.
For sure.
It's also so I come from the generation that Jess was talking about, where they're like, what's wrong with you? Stop being this, and you're whatever, get over it. But I can also speak to that's not a good thing, because if it was some type of mental health issue and you're just told, get over it, you can deal with it, it doesn't go away. It maybe gets worse, right? Yeah. And then it kind of shows up later in life when you don't want it to, you know what I mean? When maybe if we were allowed to deal with it, or we thought it was okay, might have been better off, you know what I mean? And you mentioned Simone Biles, like, there's too many armchair quarterbacks or couch potatoes that think they know what they're talking about. But imagine, I don't even know what it's like to be, I don't know how old is she? How old is, do you guys know? She's pretty young,
she's
right?
I would say 20, maybe around there. Like,
yeah, so she's very young, right? And she's arguably the best, greatest gymnast ever, or of this generation.
Definitely.
And then come to find out she was sexually abused by the doctor, and her whole story. Imagine, shoot, when I was 20, I could barely deal with I don't know what, you know what I mean? Imagine having to deal with the weight of the United States on your shoulders, and then having to deal with being, sexually abused, and then having
to like be the, the one in the spotlight for all that, and stuff. And then she's flipping her body in the air. Like, if she doesn't feel confident, she could break her neck or do some serious damage. So I think that's a really cool brand idea that you have. Is there any thing you want to do with it when it comes to the clothing? Like, what do you want to do with the clothing and mental health? Is there
I think right now my big thing is just building that brand reputation and awareness to individuals, being able to, if somebody sees the logo, automatically think generation of change, and just supporting mental health, just because, like I said, it's something that I hold dear to my heart, and I think it's going to take some time. It's going to take quite a bit of marketing. So that's just what I want to do with it. Hopefully in the future, we'll have people wearing it, and we'll be partnered and sponsored by different organizations that focus on mental health as well. Having, even if it's athletes or influencers that are very big into the topic as well. So that's something that I want to eventually get down into, but it's going to take obviously some time and some work and marketing my clothing brand.
Maybe you should send Simone Biles a little DM and tell her that you want to help her out and send her some stuff. I don't know if you guys saw, Justin Bieber posted a big post about her, told her he was proud of her.
Nice.
That a lot of people don't realize and understand what it's like to be. He went through some issues himself. He canceled his 2/3 of his tour because he just couldn't handle it. He needed to take a break for himself, and those might be two very powerful little influencers for you there. You know what I mean?
Just keep
hopefully they see this video.
Message them for months and months and months. And
or maybe send them a letter. Nobody does that anymore. For real. That might actually reach someone more. They're like, what's this? A letter? Oh my God. You know what I mean? But those are two very prominent figures. I think Bieber has, I don't know, what is it? 100+ million followers on Instagram. But Simone's in the spotlight right now with the world. All it takes is one, and if you want to make some change, I think you got a great name, name for the brand, right? And I saw the logo. It's actually pretty cool. So, yeah, man, we'll do whatever we can to help you out, you know?
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, man. You just got to reach out to as many people as possible, and whoever responds is kind of the door that gets opened up.
Yep.
But the clothing line, anything else that you're working on right now?
Other than that, now just working, trying to build my experience marketing. So eventually, when I build my resume and apply at an NFL job or something, it'll catch somebody's eye.
Yeah. And where do you see yourself doing with the Bliss Seekers? Like, you know, where do you see this going, and where do you want to take us?
Yeah.
I could see. I think from what you have told me and where you want to take this, I could see this a long term and helping you guys build that fan base and building your guys' brand for what you guys are. I find that very fun and interesting. And then just building that audience and then providing that audience with the information that helps them and benefits them as well, and however they want it to benefit them. So this will be a fun experience for me, and I hope for all of us, to build your guys' brand to what you guys want it to be.
Well, you're a part of it now too, so
Yeah.
build R. You should say
R,
R.
yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Right. That's cool, man. I have a question for you. What does following your bliss mean to you?
Following my bliss, I feel like, is just finding happiness within myself. Like we've been talking throughout this, you can't make everybody happy.
Mm-mm.
And as much as we want to do that, it's not going to happen. You'll always have somebody that is either unhappy with themselves and will try to bring you down. And just having that happiness within yourself and being happy with who you are and always finding what you want to strive for and reaching your goals and just sticking to that grind and motivating yourself and just reaching your dreams and goals. Because at the end of the day, no matter what it is, it's possible. It's just, if you got to believe it yourself, because if you don't believe it, how can you have somebody else support you? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. 100%, man. I think that was perfect. I think that's a good way to kind of wrap this up. Jessica, do you have any last words?
I mean, I'm just excited to start working with you and seeing what you are going to do with our social media. I'm excited to see what you're going to add to the team and see what you're going to do.
Yeah. And me too. I'm truly a believer in the law of attraction, manifestation, setting a big vision. You know, and sometimes you set this big vision and even you don't even believe it. You're like, how the hell is this going to happen, right? Because obviously we're going to have 250 million subscribers. We're going to be the #1 podcast in the world, and we want to move the needle to help more people break the mold of just doing what their friends and their family and their society and their school, whatever it says, and to actually truly find what they were put on this earth to do and live it and do it, right? But sometimes you kind of go like, wow, that's a pretty big goal, right?
Yeah.
But what I learned through previous mentors and through experiences, you just got to keep saying it and keep saying it and keep pursuing it and keep putting in the work. And then one day you get that phone call from Bruce Allen. One day you got 250 million subscribers and you're like, man, that was crazy, right?
Suck it, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, there you go, right? One day you're bigger than Joe Rogan. By the way, I love you, Joe. But, you know, our goal is to be the #1 podcast in the world. And, you know, and just because it's not really about us. It's about the impact that we're going to make.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited to have you on board. I'm excited for you to continue your career in sports. I love seeing people win. I love seeing people be successful. I love linking up with like-minded people. Like, we all love sports here. You know, I just can't wait to see it all come to fruition. And, you know, it's not really about the destination. And I want to share that with you guys. It's about the journey. It's about the work you put in. It's about the experiences you have. Because if you get there, you're not just going to be like, oh, I'm happy all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's the journey to get there, you know? It's all the experiences. It's the good and the bad. And yeah, you know, we'll all be following our bliss. as we are now and continue to do so. And I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being on the show. Any last words that you have for all the YouTube world out there?
Just thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be a part of the team, and hopefully we can build your guys' brand or our brand to where we want to get it. Yeah, if you guys want to learn more about Generation of Change, generationofchange.net. As well, if you guys are ever in Okanagan County, go visit Pablo's Tacos.
There you
Get some
go.
bomb tacos.
Yeah.
Other than that, thank you guys.
Yeah. And we'll leave everything in the description below. So thank you again for being on the show. Thanks, Jess.
Yep.
And, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you like this, please subscribe, smash that like button, and hit the notification bell. And as always, follow your bliss.